Mafia 3 released October 7th, 2016 by Hangar 13 and 2K Games. Yeah, this is an old one, but who cares? I review what I want, when I want, and Mafia 3 was definitely worth it. Mafia 3 follows the story of Lincoln Clay, who, similar to Vito Scaletta from Mafia 2, just came back from the war. In Lincoln's case, this would be the Vietnam War. Now, Lincoln Clay's intentions are pretty clear-cut, but faced with some old friends coupled with some new problems, things get a bit complicated fast.
2 more.
The story of Mafia 3, similar to Mafia 2, is a very good one, played out by great voice talent with immersive gameplay. Let's get to the details. Visually, Mafia 3 looks great. I won't use words like stunning or amazing, as nothing here actually blew me away, but it certainly did pull me in. The visuals here, the entire fictional city of New Bordeaux, from the environments to the vehicles to the characters, including the cutscenes, were very impressive. Another part of this element of immersion was the overall grit, the hardcore subject matter and how it was handled. Now I could honestly use a little more, as I'm a fan of mature rated genres, the R-rated movies and such. The same goes for my taste in games. And while Mafia 3 pulled very few punches bringing across the issues of racism in the 60s and the other horrors of day-to-day life, I wouldn't have minded if they went all Quentin Tarantino on this. So while the word nigger was used quite a lot, it wasn't on a Django Unchained level, but whatever, this'll do.
Where are the others? Jess has got them niggers around Frisco. Just make it fucking quick, dig motherfucker. We're done here.
And then there was actually moments, or at least one in particular, where they did take it further than I expected. But I guess I can't be picky. If I ask for mature content, I have to take it as it comes. Mess with the bull, you get the horn kind of thing, I suppose. Let's talk gameplay. Mafia 3 is a game where you're given options. Options on how to approach each scenario you're presented with. When it's time to get the job done, you can either go in guns blazing or stealthily. And the great thing here is, unlike games like Mad Max and Far Cry, this game makes either way equally accessible and possible. Meaning, when playing a game like Mad Max, there are many times where I would have liked to take the enemy out quietly, but due to lack of any real stealth engine, it would many times end up a clusterfuck. And while Mad Max was never sold as a game with stealth elements, it needed it. And as for Far Cry, I love the franchise, but it's clearly supposed to be a choose your style kind of game. However, stealth in Far Cry isn't its strongest suit. In Mafia 3, there are no stealth stages. Every single engagement can be approached however the fuck you'd like, really. I'm not saying the stealth was ideal or perfectly designed, but it worked real well. The AI in this game is very subjective. The fact is, your enemies aren't the sharpest tools.
Fucking down!
That said, how good or bad, acceptable or unacceptable the AI is still subjective. The AI wasn't bad to the point where it was hands down ridiculous, but I can't really complain when the enemy isn't too smart. And since I've never really seen a proper balance, for now, I'll stick with the enemy being compliant fodder.
I'll be dipped in shit!
This leads me to talk about the overall difficulty of Mafia 3. The game is easy, pretty damn easy actually. And this is for the right reasons. While this game wasn't flawlessly designed, most times I died, I knew it was my own damn fault. If you're a patient gamer, not in a rush, not a Call of Duty only hothead type, you'll appreciate the stealth process and how it needs to be approached. And since this game does a bit of hand-holding in that department, where you have this superpower to see the enemy glowing red through walls along with a radar, I mean, typical video game lore. Nothing we haven't seen hundreds of times before in games like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, etc. With aids like that and one enemy at a time coming to check if you whistle, that makes for some really user-friendly gaming.
Oh, God damn it!
The fuck you doing, boy?
I only found myself up shit's creek when I lost my patience or got fatigued due to extended playing, simply because this game is hands down addictive, hard to put down. There were times like these where I died, but other than stupid shit like this, expiring was mostly due to my own negligence. I guess I'd use the very juvenile word fair when describing this game's difficulty level instead of easy.
Listen, pal, all you need to know is who's the best man for this part of the city. That's me, no doubt.
You'd have at your disposal as you progressed associates, which made life that much easier. Associates that would deliver cars to you wherever you were, an arms dealer who would bring you supplies even in the middle of a fight, so most times you need not worry about running out of bullets. And when you die, you'd lose like half the cash you were carrying. Again, there's an associate that would pick that up from you and bank it.
Richie ain't exactly over the moon about this. He and Trigger were fucking tied.
You could do wiretaps to eavesdrop on the enemy, find out their locations and so on. These are just some of the many conveniences presented to you in Mafia 3 that made this game a much more accessible game. It didn't feel like a chore at any time, while at the same time, it still didn't feel like a watered down breeze of an effort either. Good balance.
Responding unit. Visual contact with suspect lost.
Where these associates are concerned, the way to get them and keep them was to assign rackets and districts to your three partners in crime. Vito from Mafia 2, Cassandra, a hard-ass Haitian, and Burke, a funny-as-fuck Irishman. Keep them happy and they would keep you covered, with associates, weapons, and other helpful items, like a voodoo doll that distracted the enemy.
Don't step too close. That shit'll swallow your soul.
Piss them off, and they would act accordingly. I've seen in other gameplay videos where there'd be an empty chair in these sit-downs. Guess that means you could lose one or two of them completely. It never came to that with me, as I kept things properly balanced all the way through, and I didn't do this simply out of fear of what would happen if one of them got too pissed. I kept it balanced because all of them were very useful, and I guess this harkens back to the immersion. Playing this game made me feel invested in the story and all the characters, including the assholes.
If I stay here any longer, my head's gonna fucking explode.
So in a real life scenario, I guess this is how it would have played out as well. I tried to keep all my team members or partners happy, once they didn't violate.
We're done for now. You'll hear from me if I need you.
Other things I liked, which are still in the veins of how satisfyingly immersive this game was. The reactions of NPCs.
Well, he ain't got no fucking choice. Cause if he don't, we are fucked like yo mama on prom night.
Not just the enemy, but the common man or woman walking in the streets. They said some shit sometimes that I found no less than hilarious, including the racist remarks.
Screw you, porch monkey!
Yes, I find racism to be some of the most hilarious and ridiculous shit in existence. I've been scorned and chastised for making such statements in the past. But like I give a fuck, I can't help but to find shit as silly and unreasonable as racism funny.
Charlie ain't half the man his pop was. Shit.
When that nigga shows his face around here, we'll deal with him.
I get it, lots of dark shit has come from racism, but that does not change the fact of how utterly absurd and stupid it is. And so to this day, I'm able to find movies like the aforementioned Django and games like Mafia 3 downright hilarious. When it comes to hate crime level serious and so on, yeah, no laughing matter. But even on that level, that's just stupidity at its peak, unfortunately affecting the lives of others.
Get this asshole off me! Get down! Get down! He got a
Grenade!
gun!
Live grenade!
Now the elephant in the room. I got Mafia 3 late, like more than a year late, but it among several other 2016 titles have been on my wish list, and when a sale rolls around, I gladly grab these babies up. My point, when Mafia 3 was just released, I heard, watched and read the reviews, 80% bad, but I knew this was a good game regardless. Most of the flaws this game had were fixed with updates, I believe, but one major flaw on every reviewer's lips that could not be fixed with an update were the repetitive objectives. Objectives in Mafia 3 are pretty much summed up like this: interrogate, assassinate, sabotage. That's pretty much all you do, over and over. Sometimes it's mixed up a little, and a little variety is added in for extra spice, but that's all you really do here. You're working to take down this asshole named Marcano, and the way you decide to go about this is to take the giant down from the foundation and slowly weaken him while working your way up towards him. So you sabotage his rackets, kill his lieutenants, hurt his pocket until he's fatigued and trapped in a corner, then you strike.
Dixie motherfuckers are out of Perlas. Have your men come lock it down.
Good. I'll send some men over to see to the place. Run those Dixie motherfuckers out of the church, and Richie will have to respond.
Lincoln agreed that this is how he got the bigwigs in Vietnam, so it should work for the backstabbing, double-crossing, deviant fuck which is Sal Marcano. Here's the thing though, as repetitive as these missions were, they never got old. There was never a time where I found myself saying, this shit again. Nope. Remember when I said this game was addictive? I meant it. It just never got old. If at any time I experienced fatigue, it was because I sat down too long playing it, with no breaks. It was never because it got boring or frustrating. Devs executed said repetition real well. I agree, there could have been a lot more variety, as games like Mafia 2 had that. The part where you went to prison comes to mind. That stage alone was enough to cement the fact that Mafia 2 was clearly not dicking around.
You know too fucking much.
You're so fucking done.
But even without such depth, Mafia 3 stands as one of the greatest for me. And there were attempts at diversity, like the stage where you had to drug the guests at the dinner party, and the other stage where you were a part of an underground boxing event.
We have a new champion, Mr. Czech Knife Johnson!
Kiss my ass, you goddamn crackers!
There was a decent amount of variety here, just a lot more repetition as well. I found the radio stations in New Bordeaux quite boring. Not at all like the ones in Far Cry or GTA. So when I enjoy listening to guys like Laszlo in GTA and that other guy from Far Cry 4, I turn the radio off most of the times while driving here. The ending of Mafia 3, or the endings, were okay. I've read there are 3 different endings, and one secret one, which I guess is that one that you see if you're like me who reads the credits. At first, I chose the wrong ending of the 3, where Lincoln leaves the city. That choice didn't sit well with me, but I did it. Not for that dumbass priest, but because I thought those 3 unpredictable cutthroats I worked with might put a bullet in me, based on the overall nature of the game. But after choosing that ending, I knew it really wasn't practical, and not the path I would have traveled, say this were real life. So I went ahead and did what I thought was best. I went with a better ending, where I would rule the city with my 3 compadres. This was the logical and best ending. Not interested in the other one, where I rule alone. I didn't even choose to see that one out of curiosity. What I did was watch it on YouTube. A dumb fuck ending. Wasn't worth it. I guess that was the real bad ending. That priest is truly a pile of wet shit.
I'll admit it. I had my doubts, but no more.
I love this game, just about every second of it. However, I'm never so enamored by a game to call it perfect. And if in the past I gave a game a 10 out of 10, I hereby officially apologize and retract said scores, as no game gets a 10 out of 10. No game to this day has been even close to perfection, which is what a 10 out of 10 score implies. So fuck that. Even the Naughty Dogs and the Rockstars didn't get that right, to this day. GTA is not perfect, and as sweet as The Last of Us is, it is so terribly flawed. One of my subscribers seemed to be a bit pissed off that I haven't reviewed it yet, but the truth is, I got it real late. I'm talking remastered PS4 version late, so I didn't bother. I have been meaning to make a top 10 things Naughty Dog needs to get right with part 2 video though.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that bullshit.
And that's my point. I don't need to say in reviews anymore that this game wasn't or isn't perfect. I think that's redundant and goes without saying, even from a relative perspective. So here's some of the shit Mafia 3 definitely got wrong.
Talk, goddammit!
First, the loading times. Fuck me running sideways. These are some of the longest load times between deaths I've seen in a long time. I'm thankful this game's difficulty is so balanced, because when you die, oh shit, the wait is long. This compromises the immersion, and so does the fact that sometimes you've changed wardrobe, but when you go over to a cutscene, you're wearing something else. Then a few graphical hiccups. I say this without guilt or shame. I do not care much for frame rates. Once it stays at least 30, I won't complain. I did, however, experience a few dips. Then there were the pop-ins. I don't know how well this was handled on PC, but yeah, I guess this game being the giant it is, rendering these huge environments has its challenges. Then there were these instances where I realized I couldn't go into cover everywhere. This also fucked with the experience, as other than these little moments, the game was a smooth and seamless immersive experience. I know I use the word immersion and immersive a lot, but that is the most important thing a game can offer. If a game pulls me into its virtual world successfully, then it's job well done, objective complete, mission accomplished kind of thing. Whether this is done by story, gameplay, audio, visuals, or a combination of factors.
This ain't your lucky day, motherfucker.
Then there are times when stealth doesn't work. Like I go for a takedown and it's nothing short of a clusterfuck. Real irritating.
It's the way you die!
The brutal takedowns or finishers. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but they felt sometimes, most times actually, like pure luck. No, I understand the instructions. I get how it's supposed to work, but I didn't like it. It felt more like mash the buttons and hope for the best. This almost ruined the whole hand-to-hand combat aspect of the game for me actually. It's like, once you fucked up a stealth move and had to revert to fist, I was always like, fucking great, this shit again. As many times, especially if there were multiple enemies in your vicinity, you would not be the last motherfucker standing. Another flaw, the repetitive lines used by NPCs. This is expected, as apparently games haven't reached a point where we can be guaranteed we'll never hear the same line used more than once. However, in Mafia 3, it had a tendency to get real stupid.
Open up, bitch! You about to get fucked! Open up, bitch! You about to get fucked!
Then the vehicles. I might be wrong on this one, explain otherwise to me in the comments if you wish. But I couldn't do like some GTA games where I stole a car, drove it to my place, and pretty much owned it. Or even customized stolen rides. I could only do this with cars that were assigned to me via default or by my associates. Still on cars. The cars handled poorly. I'd say in my opinion, but I believe it should be obvious by now that every review on this channel is in my not so humble opinion. The cars, although fun, handled poorly, braking and cornering in particular. Then there were some glitches. Nothing to kill the experience obviously, but glitches nonetheless. That pretty much sums it up. To be clear, Mafia 3, flaws and all, is one of the greatest games I've played in a long time. I've actually been on a bit of a gaming hiatus, but this baby brought me back. An incredible game that had me hooked from the start. So now I'm inspired to take up all these other titles I've had on my pile of shame bucket list for years. Mafia 3, a great game that has me looking forward to a Mafia 4. Lessons learned here. Do not treat any review you read, hear or watch as gospel, as most of them are either personal or paid opinions, whether they come from amateur or pro reviewers. Shit, sometimes I can't even tell the difference with some of the biased bullshit I see online today. So again, this is my opinion, but ultimately your choice. No scores, no numbers, no meters. Decide for yourself. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. While on the other hand, if my carefree don't give a fuck approach and opinions or anything else here rubbed you the wrong way, well, YouTube didn't add those dislike and unsubscribe buttons for show. Hit them and move on. Thanks again for watching regardless.
You did a bang-up job here, lad. A goddamn dream come true. Can't wait to see where we go from here.